Hello, welcome or welcome back. My name is Casey. Today I'm going to do a little bit of a direct response, anti-response to my last video of my top 5 favorite books of all time. And I'm going to talk about the top 5 authors that I either have no interest at all in reading or reading again, or attempting to read again. So it's not going to be negative, but I think it's important for my new subscribers, since I am a new channel, to know what my favorites are like and who I just have no desire to read. That will kind of give you an idea of whether you want to stick around and stay on this channel or not. And either is completely fine. So sit down, buckle up. We're going to go over some probably hot takes and talk about the 5 top authors that I have no interest in either reading or continuing. So we're going to start with 2 of potentially the most controversial authors, but also the 2 authors that I don't think many people will clap back as hard regarding. And the first is going to be George R.R. Martin's Song of Ice and Fire. I remember saying to one of my friends when the TV show Game of Thrones came out that this is a story that I should love. I should absolutely be on board with this type of story. It is my kind of fantasy story, and I just could not get into it. I don't really know what it was. Part of me thinks that maybe there were just too many points of views within the TV show, and I like to follow a close-knit set of characters that I can get really close to and that I can just fall in love with and know everything about them. And I felt like it was just really stretched, and I didn't like that feeling. I did get through the first 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. I started season 3 and I wasn't hating it. I just had no desire to continue. And so having that feeling while watching the show really kind of put me off to the books. And then, of course, with them the series not being finished, it just made it even more so where I just don't have any desire to read that series. I don't have any desire to start it. I don't have any desire to find out what's going on or what's different from the adaptation. So I don't think that's going to be too hot of a take, because a lot of people seem to be separating themselves from the series as books and somewhat as the adaptation in the show because of what happened with the last season. I know some people are getting back into the story, the adaptation at least, with the new release of House of the Dragon. I don't really have any desire to watch that either, not having any experience whatsoever with any of the other George R.R. Martin stories or world. I just don't have any desire. So that's going to be the top one. That would be, I think, probably the most controversial out of all these, followed by the second most controversial, which is sort of in the same boat, and that's Patrick Rothfuss's The Kingkiller Chronicles. I did attempt to read book 1 3 times, 2 or 3 times, I believe 3 times. I got maybe a third of the way through on the last reread, and it literally put me to sleep. I was listening to it in the car on a drive down to visit my brother and sister-in-law one day, and I fell asleep, and I woke up when we were there, and at that point I said, this is my second or third time trying this series, and I literally fell asleep. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I don't care if the fans stick with it till book 2, stick with it. It literally bored me to sleep. So I can appreciate beautiful writing. I can appreciate beautiful prose and a slower story that is character-based. I am a character-based reader. So again, this series really should have worked for me, and it just didn't. So for whatever reason, it didn't, and it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. And along the same lines with George R.R. Martin is, of course, we all know that we're probably never going to see the end of that series. So now, knowing that, and really kind of watching the frustration of the fans throughout the years as they are continuously let down, it just doesn't give me any desire to pick up this series a 4th time or any more in general. And so I did unhaul those books, and I don't plan on ever getting them back. I don't plan on ever trying the audiobook again to see if maybe it was just a fluke that day. I don't know. But Patrick Rothfuss and King Killer Chronicles are number 2 on my authors I just have no desire to continue on with. I started off with like the most controversial, but I think all these are going to be controversial. They're all pretty popular authors and pretty popular series within their respective communities. But the next one that I'm going to, that I have no interest in getting involved in and reading is Terry Pratchett. And for no other reason other than I don't like satire and I don't like comedy in my books. I actually, we have a running joke between me and my best friend that I don't even search out comedy in movies or TV shows. And so it's just something I don't mind watching it if maybe I'm watching it with other people, other family members or friends, but it's not something that I search out on my own to consume. It's just not my thing. I prefer a more serious, realistic take to my stories. So comedy in general, and then adding on satire, I do not enjoy satire whatsoever. I don't even enjoy it within comedy. So I know that Terry Pratchett's books and his style is just not going to be something that I enjoy. And it's not even something that I have any desire to test and see. Maybe reading one of his more popular ones within Discworld will change my mind. I don't have any desire to even attempt that. So unfortunately, Terry Pratchett and specifically Discworld for him is just, it's out. You want some cuddles? You want some cuddles? You want some cuddles? I love you. You're such a good boy. You're such a good boy. I'm filming though. You can't. I mean, you can sit on my lap so long as you don't go back and forth. Can you say hi to everybody? Say hi, everybody. Okay. Next is going to be a YA author to start with that has now been moved into adult. And that's going to be Sarah J Maas. I know there's going to be some Maas fans that might come for my throat. I'm ready. I have absolutely zero desire to read anything by Sarah J Maas ever, at all. I have watched enough, read enough, consumed enough reviews and opinions and spoiler-filled videos and content about her books, and I have zero desire to ever involve myself with any of her stories ever. Now, I obviously this is, you like what you like. You know, everyone likes what they like. I have books that I consider trash and I like them as well. So I'm not saying anything against anyone, of course, who does like Sarah J Maas as an author or who enjoys reading her books. They are just simply not for me. They are a type, at least the Throne of Glass series is a type of YA that deals with too many YA tropes that I just simply don't like. And her adult is just too focused around stuff that I just don't like to read. I'm not interested in reading that sort of stuff. I'm also not interested in that type of fae story. I don't know why fae turned into these cutesy, sexy man beasts, but that's not the type of fae that I like to read. So that's a big part of it as well. But she is an author that I just see everywhere. Obviously, she is very popular, very polarizing, has a huge fan base, but I personally have no desire to read anything written by her. And the last on today's top 5 authors I have no desire to read, or at least top 5 series. I should clarify that. Top 5 series / authors. Because this next author, I don't plan on reading this series of his, but I do have his other series that I do plan on reading, and I think I will probably like. But the Black Prism by Brent Weeks is a series that I've tried a couple different times in a couple different ways through a couple different mediums. And I can't get into it in any medium. I've tried the audiobook regular. I've tried the graphic audio, which I usually am a huge proponent of graphic audio. They're so much fun. And then I've tried reading it straight up. I can't get into it. I do not like any of the characters. I don't like anything about the story. And I've tried at least, again, 3 different times because I've tried 3 different mediums and it's not a story I can get into. However, I do plan on trying his Night Angel trilogy. I have those books. I do know he's come out with a new release of a new cover binding, I believe, of that series, and we are getting novellas as well. And I'm looking forward to reading that series from him. I do like assassins. I do like stories about assassins. I don't read enough of them, to be honest. But the Black Prism series in particular, I can't get into it. And so I don't have any desire to continue with anything to do with the Black Prism. I will probably, depending on how I feel about Night Angel, when I do read it, pick up something else by that author as well. So he himself is not completely off the table, but that specific series is one that I don't, it's just not for me. And then I'm going to throw in here an honorable mention and include a sort of subgenre that we've been seeing quite often in recent years, and that's going to be retellings with a caveat. I don't have any interest in reading any of the Greek mythology retellings that we've been seeing that are mostly romance books, some tragedies. I have one or two of them on my shelves. I think I even have one or two down in my standalone section down here that I picked up for like $1 each. So they're on my shelf just in case I do get the hankering to read those particular ones. But I currently at the time have no desire to read any sort of Disney princess retelling, Greek mythology retelling, the Dark Four Horsemen romance smut, I think, that is hugely popular right now. No desire to read that. Cersei, I don't have any desire. Cinder, and I think that's a series based on a lot of the Disney princesses fairy tales. No desire to read those. So that's not necessarily obviously an individual author, but that sort of subgenre is not something that I gravitate to, and it's not my thing. So if that's something that you enjoy and you'd hope to see a little bit here, unfortunately, I won't be talking about those barely, if at all, unless it's like a hate read rant, which I don't plan to do a lot of. But, you know, you never know what you might just really dislike and really need to talk about or really need to vent about, you know? So that kind of gives you an idea of the favorites that I have from the last video, the authors that I don't plan on reading anymore, and maybe that'll give you a little bit of an idea of kind of what to expect going forward. And so I think that's important, like I said, to know the tops and the least lowest for your booktubers that you're watching. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, you can give it a thumbs down. That won't hurt my feelings, I promise. And you know what to do, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time in my next video. Bye.